So every time, part of the Indian School of Political Economy, we always have a section on how to write opinion articles or media articles. The reason is because we in India, we don't want to teach you just information, but we want to equip you with skills on how to go about with the knowledge that you gain from the Indian School of Political Economy. And one of the ways to do that is by writing articles. So we hope that after you participate in this School of Political Economy, you can have certain skills to share your knowledge or to perhaps in Indonesia, we call it to criticize the government, policy. My name is Zulfikar Rakhmat. I'm a research professor here at KIAS, and I'm also a research associate at INDEF. I joined INDEF in 2019, and since then I've been participating in many of the research. And INDEF is also one of the institutions that is very active in voicing opinion and policy critics to the government. So every week, if you read Indonesian newspaper, both in Bahasa and in English, you will always see INDEF researcher writing about something. And I think this is one of the power of INDEF as well. We are known by the government, we are known by the public through our media articles. So a little bit about myself, I do not have any background on journalism. My background is in international relations. So what I'm going to tell you about today is not my let me say my background knowledge, but rather my experience. So I started writing articles, especially newspaper articles, when I finished my undergraduate study. So after I finishing my undergraduate study in 2013, I was unemployed. I do not have any job. I was jobless. So I don't know what to do. All right, I don't know what to do. And I met one of the journalists. So I did my undergraduate study in Qatar, in the Middle East. And after I finished my study, I don't know what to do. And I met one of the journalists from CNN who was working with Al Jazeera. If you know about Qatar, Qatar has a very famous television channel, a news broadcasting called Al Jazeera, and he was working there. And I met him one day, and he told me, and I told him that I was jobless, and tell me what to do, or give me a job. And he told me to write articles. Okay, so that happened in September 2013. So I met him in 2013, and he taught me how to write articles. And after that, I wrote around 60 to 70 articles, but none of it got published. Okay, so none of it got published. But my first article was published. Oh, I don't have it here. My first article was published in January 2014. So after 6 months, I wrote about China because my research focuses on China. And after the article got published, I received money, $100. And I was so happy because that was the first time my picture was shown in one of the newspapers. And not only that, I got money, right? And I get very addicted. And since then, I've been writing more and more. And today I have written around 400 articles. So almost every week, I wrote around 1 or 2 articles, and some of them have been turned into books. So what I'm going to tell you today is first, why? Why do we need to write articles on the media? Usually people have workshops on why we need to write books, why we need to write in academic journal. But today I'm going to tell you why do we need to write in the media. And then I'm going to tell you some of the important aspects that you need to know in writing articles, how to write and how to submit article. And lastly, I'm going to tell you some tips and tricks in writing article in the media. So I think the first and the most important reason why writing in the media has some benefit is that it's more simple and faster to write than any other publication. Okay? Why? Because usually when you write in the media, it's only 700 to 800 words. So around 2 pages. Compared to journal is around 5,000 to 10,000 words. Sometimes it takes like 6 months to write and it gets 1 year to be published. So it's a long time. And faster to write. So when it comes to writing in the media article, you can send your article now and get published tomorrow and get published next week. In the academic journal, it's impossible, especially in the books. If you write books, usually it takes a few months at least, all right? And then the second benefit is that, and I think this is the most important benefit, everyone reads your article. Everyone read your article. If you read books, only those who buy books can read. If you write journals, oh my God, the one who read it is only you, your reviewer, and few others. All right? So, but if you read articles in the media, everyone can read it. That's why usually those who read in the media, they get more exposure. They're invited to conferences, they are invited to television, and so on and so forth. The third one is that by having the ability to write in the media, you are able to balance asymmetric information, or we call it today hoax, right? There are so many hoaxes, lies in the social media, and sometimes we are very eager to correct this information, right? We are eager to tell this is the truth, not that one, right? But then we don't know how. By writing in the media, by having the ability to write in the media article, you will be able to contribute to the society by telling correct information, right? Telling the truth, rather than writing in your Twitter. Maybe you have only 10 followers, right? Nobody read your tweet, or your Facebook has only 20 friends, right? Writing in the media can widen your audience. And then giving the voice to voiceless, right? By writing article in the media, you will be able to write articles about those who do not have voices. So one of the most proud article that I wrote was in 2013. I went to my grandmother's village, right? My grandmother's village is an old village in Central Java. And when I went there, I saw that there is a bridge, broken. People cannot go to school. People could not go to the market. People could not go to the offices because the bridge was broken. So I decided to write about that particular bridge, okay, and why the government should fix that bridge. And after the article got published, a week later, the government decided to fix the bridge. So by writing, by having the ability to write, especially for Indonesians who are living in developing countries, we can help them, those who are in need. Sometimes we don't have money to help. Sometimes we cannot help physically, but we can help through our articles. And then, actually, new experience. As I said earlier, when you write more article, I think Mr. Echo here is very experienced because we've been invited to many television shows, not like me, and nobody likes me because I'm too critical. But sometimes when you have your article published everywhere, you will be invited to TV, radio, you will be invited to speak at conferences, to travel, right? So I received funding to travel to Bahrain to report one of the old synagogues. So in the Middle East, people don't know that, we have synagogue, the Jewish place of worship. But in Bahrain, I found out there was one. So I was told to report that particular place of worship in 2014. That was because my article. And sometimes I got invited to television, to radio. That's because of my writing. So hopefully one day I will become the president because of my writing, right? And okay, this is, I think, the most interesting one. Money. All right? The most interesting one is this, money. When you write, as I said earlier, people pay you. People pay you. The most, I don't know, in Indonesia, sometimes we get $50, the least $50. The highest pay I got in writing is when I wrote an article for the Huffington Post. They paid around $2,000 for a 700-word article. That was the highest, and unfortunately, it happened only once. But in Indonesia now, my students, because I give this writing article as an assignment in my class, some of my students began to write articles, and now they can earn more income from writing because in our local city in Jakarta, one of the famous newspaper, Kedaulatan Rakyat, KR, they pay around $50 for one article, and every week you can write one. So for 1 month you can earn money $200, which is a lot, because basically, as I often mention, when you write article, you can earn money from your bed, right? You can open your laptop from bed and just write and send, and you can earn money from that. And usually there is no tax. Okay, so and this is, I think, also very important. So when the COVID-19 pandemic happened, everything changed. The government needs quick and fast response on how to make correct policies, right? The government needs input from academics, from researchers on how to create a policy. But if, people are dying during COVID-19, if they are waiting for journal article to publish, more people will die. So they need more academics to write in a faster publication. And that's why media article played a big role during the COVID-19 pandemic. So now we are going to go to some of the technical things. So there are a number of types of article in the media. The first one is reporting or news stories. I think this is usually done by journalists. So when you report on certain event, certain place, certain person, and usually this particular type of the media article is done by journalists. It's not our job to do this. Usually those journalists who work in the media, they do this. But the most important thing is opinion, where everyone can read, everyone can write, no matter who you are. One of my friends is Alastair Shroud. He is a UK carpenter. You know carpenter, the one who make furniture. But he has skill in writing. So his main job is carpenter, making furniture, but his side job is writing articles. He's an opinion writer for New York Times. Meanwhile, he is a carpenter. So everyone can read this. So the main idea of writing opinion is giving opinion. So the most important thing that you need to have is opinion. Because somebody told me how to write an opinion. I said, do you have an opinion? No. Then how can how can you write an opinion article without having an opinion? So the most important thing here is you have an opinion on something. The government is doing this, you have an opinion, I will write about it. Okay, and another crucial aspect is that when you write an opinion, because usually opinion is critical, you criticize something. So the most important part here is call for action. So what? After you criticize, you need to tell what are the call for action, what to do next, what the government should do. I will give you more example later on. And as I mentioned earlier, usually the length of the article is 700 to 900 words, and it can be written by anyone. Don't worry about your academic background, don't worry about your position, you don't care. As long as you have a good written article, that's enough. You can publish your articles. And then book review, you can do review on books, but I think, and then interviews. You can interview someone and then you can get published in the media. But I think the most, for now, what we are going to learn is how to write opinion article, because this is where everyone can read, can write. So the common structure in writing article is simple: introduction, main part, and conclusion. That's it. But I'm gonna explain to you one by one. So only three parts: introduction, main part, and concluding part. For the introduction, okay? First, the introduction is 100 to 200 words. You need to have a lead. A lead is something wow, something that could attract the readers. Okay, and then give a background, and then tell in the article you need to tell your argument in the beginning of the article. So this is the article that I wrote, I think in early 2020. So in the midst of the lockdown, the government decided to allow Chinese workers to enter the country. In the middle, when we were not allowed to go outside, the government decided to allow the 500 Chinese workers to enter. So I think that was a bad idea. So I decided to write an article. So I begin my article with a lead, something that can attract the reader. Here I don't need something wow because the decision itself, it was wow. So I don't need something wow. So I begin my article by telling the reader that the government is planning to bring 500 Chinese workers to enter the country. And then in the next 3 paragraphs, and just to give you background, when you write media article, paragraph is not like this. Sometimes one sentence is enough, especially when you want to put an emphasis on something, one sentence is enough. All right? So 3 paragraphs for background, and then after that, you need to state your argument. I say that this move indicates that the government is giving priority to the economy over its people well-being. So when people read your article from the beginning, they have to know what is your argument. What is the main message that you are going to present? All right, so this is the introduction. The main part is where you describe your argument. Okay, this is where you describe your argument. Usually it's longer, around 400 to 600 words. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, why the government policy was not good? Because the government prefers economy over the people. So I explain what does it mean, right? And secondly, I argue that the policy can worsen the hostility to Chinese workers. So I explain again. All right. So the main idea here is that the main part of the article should explain the main argument. All right. Should explain the main argument. So first is economy of the people, and second is worsening hostility. You need to support your argument by giving data, by giving some supporting arguments. And then conclusion. Conclusion can be done in 2 ways. Number 1 is recommendation, especially if you criticize a policy, you criticize something, don't be someone who is only, like telling a problem, telling situation, but not giving a solution. All right. So that's why giving a recommendation is very important. This is the one I wrote in my article. So after I described the problem, that the policy was a bad move, I give the solution. China need to do this, the government need to do this. All right. So at the end of the article, you must give your recommendation or prediction. If you analyze a situation, maybe the economy is going down and you don't know what to do, you can give prediction. What will happen in the future? That's also okay. So basically in the conclusion part, there are 2 parts that you need to highlight. First is recommendation or prediction. Okay, but usually conclusion is around 100 to 200 words. So this is, I think, part of the article. So just to remind you again, it's not working. Okay. So the first one is introduction. Introduction. All right. In the introduction, you need to have really background and main argument. And then in the main part, you need to explain your argument. And then it's usually the longest part of the article, around 400 to 600 articles. And then the conclusion, recommendation, and or prediction. And then when you write an article, you do not need to write bibliography. You do not need to write footnotes for sources. What you need to do is only put links, hyperlinks. All right, so whenever you write article, you can just put links in the article, or if the sources are not available online, you can cite by giving additional reference information, like according to blah, 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 he said this and this and this. I think that's enough. So basically no footnote and no bibliography. Now, what makes an article good, or what makes an article stand out? What is the main purpose of writing? Can anyone answer why do we write? Oh. Okay, okay, when you cook, why do you cook? What is the purpose you're cooking? Okay, that's the reason. But what is the objective when you cook? To eat. To eat. To be eaten by someone. Similar article. When you write, to be read. Right? There is no point for you writing if nobody reads your article, right? And to provoke reaction. So we can judge whether our article is good or not by looking at how people react to our article. So there is a number of ways we can judge whether our article is good or not. First, when they read your article and they say, I didn't know that. That means you are sending new information. You are giving new information. Or when they read article, they say, I never look at it that way. Meaning you are giving more, you are giving new perspective. Maybe somebody has written it before, but never look at it that way, right? It's a new perspective. Or I never connected those things. Maybe you are looking at things that that people never thought before. Oh, I never know it's connected, right? Or they say you said exactly what I felt, but I didn't know how to say it. Meaning that we are able to give voice to other people, right? Or when they say, I want to kill you, right? Good article is when you can provoke emotion, whether laughing, crying, angry, or whatever that is. So I think one of the articles that I wrote is about why I should. This is what I believe, even though I'm very critical of China, very critical, but I believe that no one should blame China for COVID-19. So I wrote the article in the early days of the pandemic, and people were commenting. They thought I'm a Xi Jinping son, right? So that's what happened. But yeah, but that means your article can provoke reaction. It's a good. But if, yeah, and the last one is I'm going to organize a protest, meaning that by writing, you can provoke people to do something. It's not only protest. Maybe after, as I mentioned earlier, I write something about my grandmother's village. The bridge was broken. The government did something, right? It means you provoke reaction, good action. Okay, so by having this, so sometimes people ask, like, how can I know that my article is good enough or not? By asking this question. Will it give new information, new perspective? Will it connect two things? Will it say something to represent people, will it provoke reaction and action? That means our article is okay, can be published. Now, and then this one. This is actually the key. Sometimes people want to write articles just for the sake of publication. I want to write more and more and more. And I know this, some people who want to write more so that they can get more money, but their value losing. So we know that now in the media landscape in Indonesia and in international stage, media has interest, right? Depending on who owns the media, right? Who owns the media has an interest. So some of my friends, they write article for this particular media, he says something, and for another media, he said something else. So for example, later on, previously I show you my article about why I think allowing Chinese workers to enter Indonesia in the middle of the pandemic was a bad move. And then, because I want to write more and get more money, I read in another newspaper saying that it was a good move, right? I know some people in Indonesia, in this media, they write A, in that media, they write B, just to get money, right? It's not good. People will question you, because in media, more people read your writing, they know your standpoint. So I think it's very important that when you write, don't just look at the market. Don't just write because I think people want to hear this, but rather stick to your values. Right? It's very important. And then, what are the differences within writing in national and international media? Because I think mostly I write in international media rather than in national. I think the most important difference is the language. Of course, you cannot write Bahasa for Korean times, of course. But the most important thing is that when you want to write in international media, is additional information. Do not expect people know everything. Yeah. For example, if you write article in national media, you can say Joko Widodo. Everyone knows who is Joko Widodo, right? But in the international media, you need to give more context. So the Indonesian president, Joko Widodo, recently met Sri Mulyani, right? In Indonesia, we don't need to give a context. We know who Sri Mulyani is, but in the international media, you need to tell. Oh, she is the country's finance minister, right? In Semarang, Central Java. Where is Semarang? Oh, Central Java province. So you need to give more context. This is for anyone. If you read about Korea in UK newspaper, if you read about China in American newspaper, we need to give more context. I think everyone knows, but this is more important than anything. If you plagiarize, you copy and paste in journal article, nobody knows. Why? Because nobody read your article again, right? But in the media, everyone reads, everyone knows that you copy pasted from something. I think there are many journalists who got very serious sanction because they copy and paste from someone else. How to submit the article? You need to identify the publisher. So there are a lot of general publications like Jakarta Post, the Diplomat, Fed Observer. So I think some of these media are very good starting point, and they pay a lot, especially diplomat. For one article, they pay $600, and you can write up to 4 articles in 1 month. So in 1 month, you can receive around $2,400 for writing in the diploma. And it's about Asia Pacific, so they talk about Indonesia, and not only those who focus on social sciences. So some engineering doctors, they write articles here. When you want to submit your article, there are 2 ways: form submission or email. All right. Some media, like as I said, the diploma, they have a form. So you just need to fill your form, choose a file, upload, and submit. Don't forget to say yes for remuneration, the most important part. All right. And then email submission. I think this is the most common. So most of the newspaper, they have a contact page. So just open the contact page and they will tell you where to submit your article, right? And usually they give email, even in Indonesian newspaper, they usually have email. You can just send your article through email. This is actually important for some people who maybe don't know how do you submit, how do you write email. And I think when you write for the first time, it's better to tell about yourself, tell about why your article is important to be published, and so on and so forth, so that the editor gets confidence with your writing. And another one is pitching. So I think I do pitching a lot than sending a full article. Pitching means you send the editor that I want to write this. Okay, you want it or not? If you want, I will write the article. If not, I'm not going to write. Because sometimes when you write first, the article became useless, right? If no one accepts it. So I think it's better. What if there is no reply? This is, I think, everyone problem. So sometimes when you send article, no reply, we have 3 + 2. So after you send on Monday, wait until Thursday. If there is no reply, send them reminder on Friday. If by the next Monday you don't get reply, meaning they don't want your article. All right, move on. So 3 + 2. And do not send your article to multiple publications. I had this problem before. I sent to several publications, got published in all the media and same article, and later on they accused me of plagiarism. I paid $500 fine for that problem. So do not send articles to multiple publications. Sometimes they give you a revision. Some media have like this, more strict than journal article. So they have very detailed comment, but sometimes they only give you a very basic comment. You gotta pass it and resubmit it. And some media, they don't even tell you whether it will be published. Okay? So you send your article and you never heard about it again until your friend tells you, I read your article. Where? Oh, in Jakarta Post. I never know that it was published. And I had one experience with one of the Indonesian newspapers. It was quite funny that in the article, I wrote about supporting one presidential candidate. Okay, so that was during 2019 presidential election. I wrote an article about supporting one presidential candidate. In my article, it was very clear that I supported him. He edited the article, all right, saying that I'm not supporting the president. Okay, so yeah, that happened. Usually when the media has certain interest, they will edit your article based on whatever they want to do. And then, and again, you do not have to agree with all the feedback or comment as long as you provide reasons. Because sometimes editors are crazy. Other thing, last one, first start write for free. Now I wrote around 400 articles. I think half of it I wrote for free. Because my experience was with the diplomat. So I sent an article, I told them, please pay me for this article. They said, no, we don't want to publish. And I replied, and I say, okay, I don't want payment. And they published the article. So yeah, sometimes it's better to establish a portfolio, to write for free and to go out there. Because sometimes the media does not only look at on what you write and who you are, right? So they look more on who write the article, right? Like me, no, nobody cares about me, nobody knows about me. But then I co-authored the article. I put my professional name in the article, they published the article. So I think co-authoring is very important as well in the beginning. So this is only just what I do. So usually on Monday and Tuesday I read, right? I find a topic, find a perspective, all right, and then on Wednesday I start writing. It's 700 to 800 words. So you can write for one day. This, and then after that, on Thursday, I redo the research and make sure everything is okay. I revise. On Friday, I send it to editor. So one article 1 week, and then by Monday, you will usually get a reply whether your article will be published or not. All right, I think that's it. Thank you very much, and I hope you can use these tips to go out and publish your ideas. Thank you. If you have any any question? I think it's clear, right? Usually, after the industrial or political economy, next week, we will see some participant article got published in Indonesian media. I hope this time as well. So, all right, any question? Okay, Putri, please.
Okay, thank you, sir, for giving me time for. I have some question. Okay, begin. My name is Putri Gina. Maybe I want to tell my short story. First, as a student, I will begin and start for write article in some media, but I feel like not confident because I'm sophomore and I just write and the first my write maybe in media and how do I push myself in Bahasa Indonesia and first begin article and how to I can push myself for can confident and can write article in English language. And my second question is, as a writer, what do you think about media framing? And as a student, I still open my media social and I saw many fake news and sometimes like a hoax article, okay. Yes, something like that. And every people in Indonesia often fight for I think it's not important news and if I just student, I just silent because I'm afraid if I open speak up something like that, I can there terror or something like that in my social media. Thank you, sir.
Okay. The first question about the foreign language, if you want to write article in English, my answer is do not worry, because that is the job of the editor. So usually in international media, the editor will do editing. So sometimes I think if you want to compare the article that I submitted and the article that got published is totally different. Why? Because it was being edited by the editor. So do not worry about the language. Just write. And sometimes, some of my students who read in English, they read in Bahasa, and then they translate it with Google Translate. They send it, good accepted. It's okay. The editor will edit as long as the main point and the main idea is there, it doesn't matter. All right. The second question about your about media framing. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, today media is owned by someone, and that particular someone has certain interests. So usually the media has certain frames. However, there are many more independent media today, like the one I show you, like Diplomat, Fair Observer. Fair Observer is very interesting. In a way, they want to provide a platform for everyone. So if you open fairobserver.com, you will have an article supporting terrorist groups. The article supporting Al-Qaeda. But on the other hand, there is an article got published saying that Islam is evil. So they want to provide our opinion. So I don't know if there are more media who want to balance out. They want to provide voices to everyone. So I think it doesn't matter. And as I mentioned earlier, when we write article, right, the objective is to provoke reaction. So if you get terror, if somebody send you email, it's normal. It means your article is good. Okay, so when you get terror, after you publish your article, or you get caught by the police after you publish your article, that means your article is good. But if you publish and no one responds, that means no one read your article. So I think it's a good sign when you have reaction. All right, any question, Nurul?
Okay, thank you. That was a fruitful presentation. I would like to ask, as you mentioned earlier, you have filed on write article opinion, but do you have some trick whether the article opinions must write on factual issues or maybe the long history, but it's still relevant if we write today? Yeah.
Okay. So I think the main aim of having media is to tell information that is relevant today, that is impactful to the society today. So when you write an opinion, the key, as you mentioned, is that having relevancy to today's situation. Right? You're not going to write an opinion on something that happened in 1950s, right? So I think the most important thing is relevancy. If it has some relevancy still today, you can still write it. All right, don't worry about it. You can still write it, but if it has no relevancy, I think it will be very difficult. Okay, so writing more current issue is better. You will have more chance to be published. So my recent article is on the role of China in the World Cup, in the Qatar's World Cup, and it will be published next week. So I think having a relevancy is very important, all right, to current situation. Okay? Any more questions? Is it clear? Okay.
Clear. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. No more questions? Okay, I think it's clear we can finish early today, right? And thank you very much. And I hope some of my presentation have some benefits. You can use the skill, and especially in Indonesia, we need more people write, because not many people write. Usually, if you read newspapers, especially in Indonesia, the people who write articles, same people, same again. Mr. Echo, and Mr. Echo again, right? So we need more people to write articles, and that's why in my classes, I don't require my students to write essays. I don't require my students to write long essay. I require them to write media articles, and if they get published, they will get an A. And some of them got published. Some of them became addicted, and now I think there was one student in the third semester already published 150 articles in the third semester, so 1.5 years into the college. And thank you very much. I think we finished for yes.
I have a question.
Okay.
Thank you for the presentation. The first one is I want when I was in the university, I met several people that they say critics doesn't have to be followed by the solution.
Okay.
What do you think about that? If they write an article about the critics and there's no solution about it, do you think it's still a good article?
Okay.
And the second is, I have what can I say? I don't have a grade to write an article because I think I don't have the knowledge. So do you think we have to have the background knowledge for what we want to write?
Okay.
Or we can write whatever what our opinion.
Okay. Thank you for the question. For me, in my opinion, the best critics are the ones who are followed by solution. Because we cannot criticize something without telling the solution. People will always quit. When you write articles, usually they have comment box, right? Especially in Indonesia, it's very spicy, right? And people say stupid things in the comment box. When we don't have solution, they do ask. They usually ask, so what? Then what? Right? So I think when we criticize something, it's better that we give solution. So, and in the case where you do not have solution or you are not confident to give solution, you can predict the future. What will happen in the next few months? Like I wrote one article about COVID-19 pandemic, and I believe I don't have any expertise on COVID-19 or any medical issues. So I just predict what will happen in the future. I just say, I hope those who have expertise, those who understand the situation can provide solution, right? And the second one, when you write, I think the most important part of writing is read. Right? Read, and read. You cannot write without reading. You have to love reading first before you are able to write. Because what you write is based on what you read, right? So, what do we call it? So in order to be able to write, you have to read. So for example, like me, every month I have a goal. I have to finish 6 books. So every week, 1 to 2 books. And that's where my idea comes from. And from newspaper as well, but mainly from the books. So I think when you write something, it's better to write something that you know the topic of. Because as I mentioned earlier, when you write, you will be invited to speak at television, you will be invited to speak at a conference. If you write something that you don't know about and then you're invited to speak and you don't know, people will know, people will notice. So I think it's better to write something that you know well about the topic. I used to like that. So after I finished my undergraduate study, when I read article, I read about everything. So as long as it is about Indonesia, I read about economy, politics, social issues. But after I did my master's, until now, I only write a topic of my interest. Now my research topic is on China-Indonesia relations. So all I'm writing mostly about China-Indonesia relations. I don't want to write because once I wrote an article with my friend about a conflict that took place in Central African Republic. Okay, I don't know much about the topic. It was when I did my master in the UK. I got invited to a conference at King's College London. So because it was cool, okay, let's accept. So I accept. So I present because, from my article, I just present. People ask questions. I don't know the answer. And so I was so embarrassed because there were 2 people in the panel and next to me was an African expert. So what I answered was completely the opposite of what happened in the ground. So I think it's not good to write something that you don't have much knowledge about. Okay, any more question? No more question? All right, if there is no more question, I think we will end for today's session. Tomorrow we will start again and we will resume tomorrow. We will have 3 speakers. 2 speakers here, one from Korea and one is Mr. Eko, and another one will join us online. And thank you very much, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you. Oh, yeah. We're going to have photo session, and my students who wants to take a picture, please turn on your camera. Okay? I see that only